Hey, this is Paul Payton with Focal Splash, and I love showing people how to add a splash of art to their photos. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to process an image straight out of the camera in Photoshop. I want to take this image from here to here and show you how I did it. So let's make a splash. So we're going to get started. First thing I'd like to do is take this image, whether it's a raw file or a JPEG, take this into Camera Raw. When you open it in Photoshop, if it's a raw file, it will automatically be in Camera Raw. So for this image, I'd like to quickly hit Auto on the white balance, and that brought it up a little bit, gave it a little difference. That's what it was when it originally came in. We got a little yellow, a little warmth to it. Make it a springtime day. I like that. Hit auto here, and a lot of times this auto will bump the exposure way up, but in this case it did a pretty good job. The baby's face is still a little dark here, so I'm going to bring down the highlights of everything else. That will add the detail back in from the highlights instead of them being kind of blown out. You can see what's going on in those highlights. And then the shadows, I'll bring up the shadows a little bit, because we want to see if we can get more light in the baby's face and hitting the eggs and things. Just bumping a little vibrance. It is a colorful Easter image here. We're going to put a little bit of dehaze in there. I like dehaze, so that's why I add that. And then a vignette. Be careful with a vignette. You don't want a vignette like that, although that doesn't look too bad for this particular image because of the shape. But we want enough vignette just to draw your attention to the middle. So you don't really want to be able to see that there's a vignette there. If you saw this image without knowing that I put a vignette on it, you wouldn't even notice. That's the way I like it. And like take the feather out a little bit just to even make it less noticeable. So something like that, just bringing the light into the middle. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go into the Radial Filter. If you use these buttons here in Camera Raw, it's a little different than Lightroom. You know, if the other things are adjusted, and you just hit this button, it'll put it back to a default. Just kind of nice. If you double click on this in Lightroom, it would bring it to 0, but in this case it doesn't. So hitting that just brings it to +50. And we want to make sure that it's inside, not outside. And the first thing I want to do is just draw a circle right here. So we'll put light on his face, and it's going to be at 50% of feather. So that's a good amount here. I'm going to spin this a little bit so the light's right down his face, and I'm going to give him a little bit more light here, like that. Just go ahead and zoom in like that, and we'll go ahead and give him another one. About 90 seems about right. So I'm going to paint one right here and just spin it. We can always adjust the brightness if we need to. And I'm going to paint one right here and spin it like that. I'm just going to add a really small one just for fun here and move it right to here and spin it like that. Alright, I think that looks good. So we're going to hit OK. And it might be a little too bright on his face after looking at that. So let's go ahead and just have a curves adjustment layer, bringing it down a little bit and bringing down the white slightly, something like that. Invert that so it doesn't affect everything, and we're just gonna paint with the brush, with a white brush, nice and big. Just paint it on his face right there. Alright, I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. Alright, so I think that matches everything else pretty good. Alright, and so we also want to use a clone stamp tool here. And with the S for the clone stamp, we need to put it on another layer above here with the clone stamp here. And we're going to Alt, grab that, just start painting. Okay, we'll paint some more since we have some more to paint. Alright, grabbing here, I'm going to start painting right here. Getting just right up next to the basket, but not overlapping the basket. And paint down here, fill that in. Now I'm going to just grab a little bit more randomly, right there, and painting this away, because it's a fairly random thing. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, zoom in, pull it up like that, there you go. And Alt, clicking here, painting there. I'm going to grab here again, pretend like this right here would look just like that, and paint right up to the edge of the basket. There we go. And grab right here. All right. Okay, so there's a little bit of a knee sticking out right here, so I can grab this right here. I grab this right here with the Alt key, and then when I let go of the Alt key, it's supposed to do that, and we can paint right up like that, and just pretend that's the way it's supposed to look. I'm going to grab this here, and that didn't work. You got to be closer than that. Just paint a little bit like that. And in that corner, that's going to look fine. So, there we have it. We have a little too much color in his face. So I will grab a hue and saturation adjustment layer, pull it down. That's going to look really nice. Invert this, and with the brush, the white, we'll just paint that on his face. I don't even know if you can see that in the video, but bring it down a little bit more, not that much, so that he matches the rest of his skin tone. And I think we got it. The only thing I can see here doing is getting a vibrance adjustment layer here and just bumping up the vibrance like that. Maybe not that much. Something like that. Give those eggs a little bit more color. Alright, one more thing real quick. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to use the healing brush. I'm actually going to zoom in first, and then use the healing brush right here, and just paint this over the top of that, just like that. Get rid of the bags under that poor baby's eyes. Actually, those aren't bags, that's just the way the light was hitting them. And then that doesn't look good doing that, right? So I'm going to hit Command Shift F. That brings up the fade dialog, and it will fade the last thing you did. So it's like an opacity adjustment for the very last thing you did. I think 60, 65, something like that should work really good. It allows you to, it allows it to still be there, but you compare it with that, it takes away a lot of the darkness. So I'm going to do the same thing real quick, holding the Alt key, getting right here, and just painting right in here, doing the same thing. Bring it back down to about 65. Depends on the image. Sometimes 50 is a good number. Depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get rid of wrinkles on somebody or dark areas, this does work very good for very well for skin. And painting over this spot right here. And it looks like, oh, you just erased it. It doesn't even look like a person anymore. That's why I want to bring it down. You want to bring the fade down. You know, somewhere on this image, I think 65 works pretty good. So something like that, right? And I don't really think I need to do this up here, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hold the Alt key down, clicking here, and just lightening this up a little bit, and do the same thing. Bring it down to about 65. And there you have it. I did notice when I zoomed in really close that nobody's going to notice this. All right, just grab right here, paint over this spot right there. Just a little fine tuning of the image. Nobody even sees it, but unless if they do see it, their eyes may catch it and may not. All right. Finally, one more thing here. There's not a whole lot of detail in the baby's eyes here, but if I grab our new layer and hit soft light on it, some people would say use a 50% gray layer, but in this case we don't really need to. And change it to the brush tool, put it on the white, and it's on 50%, so I'll just leave it there. and just paint right here around the bottom edge. I don't like that, so I'm going to try again. Paint right here in the dark area, and right here in the dark area. I'm going to hit X and take it off of this a little bit, and put it a little spot in the where the pupil would be, just like that. Bring down the opacity of it so it doesn't look alien. So 50% sounds good. And there we have it, just a little bit of light in the eyes. All right, so that's it. If you like what I did, let me know. If you don't like what I did, let me know. And I'm just trying to show you what I would do, and I appreciate any comments you have. If you would like to see more videos and tell me how I did it wrong then too, you can subscribe on my YouTube channel at Focal Splash, and wherever you see this video, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and make a comment there. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.